as good governance and security, Honorable Moses Ochiale will issue a statement pursuant to orders number 41, paragraph 2D on the status progress of the petition to the county by Benedicto Wasonga Onono of Nyayo Community Social Housing Program, CBO, on the matter of the compelling need of a voluntarism policy or bill. Substantive business for the day. The chairperson, Sectoral Committee on Education, Technical Training, Innovation and Social Services, Honorable Seth Okumu, will move a motion for adoption of its report on consideration of the quarterly reports and financial statements of the Kisumu County Education Fund for the period ending 30th June, September 2023. Papers to be laid. Chairperson of PICPAC Committee, Honorable Kennedy Uko, will table reports on consideration of the general report and financial statements of 1. Kisumu County Education Fund for the year ended 30th June 2021. 2. Kisumu County Education Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. 3. Kisumu County Trade Fund for the financial year 2022-2021. Notices of motion. The chairperson of PICPAC Committee, Honorable Uko, will move notices of motion that this House adopts its report on consideration of the General's report and financial statements of 1. Kisumu County Education Fund for the year ended 30th June 2021. 2. Kisumu County Education Fund for the year ended 30th June 2022. And 3. Kisumu County Trade Fund for the financial year 2020-2021. Statements. The Leader of Majority will issue a statement pursuant to orders number 41, paragraph 2C on the businesses coming before the County Assembly for the week commencing Wednesday, 8th May 2024. Substantive business for the day. 1. The Chairperson Select Committee on PICPAC, Honorable Kennedy Uko, will move a motion on adoption of 1. The report on examination of the Auditor General's report and financial statement of Nyakach County Level 4 Hospital for the year ended 30th June 2022. Madam Speaker, that is all I have to say today. Thank you very much and God bless.
Thank you, Honorable Majority Leader. Yes, Honorable Maureen Ngeta.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order number 41-2B to request a statement from the Chairperson of the Committee on Water, Environment and Natural Resources on the matter of pollution and degradation of the environment by Rai Cement Company Limited. As number 2, Stonefield Company Limited, Rare Rural Electrification Authority, and Prime Steel. Honorable Speaker, it is known to this Honorable House that all matters of the quarrying and mining must adhere to the environment, management, and coordination in bracket air quality. Madam Speaker, Regulations 2014, whose object is to provide for the prevention, control, and abatement of air pollution to ensure clean and healthy ambient air. The said law further provide for the establishment of emission standard for various sources such as mobile sources, e.g. motor vehicle and others, Madam Speaker. And stationary sources, e.g. industries, as outlined in the Environment Management and Coordination Act 1999, and also covers any other air pollution sources as may be determined by the Cabinet Secretary in consultation with the NEMA, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wish to further inform this Honorable House that while the said companies have been authorized to conduct quarrying activities within our Sionjiko ward, Madam Speaker, the negative environmental impact they have so far caused within the wards far outweighs the economic impact and the said companies generate. The companies lack the relevant infrastructure to prevent air and water pollution within Awasi Onjiko ward and its environment, Madam Speaker. The quarrying has further resulted to damages to people's properties and wanton degradation of environment as a result of unattended quarrying sites. Madam Speaker, I therefore wish to seek a statement from the chairperson of the Committee on Water, Environment and Natural Resources, whom I serve as a member also, Madam Speaker, to provide a response to the following matters, Madam Speaker. Whether the emission limits for the said companies have been set as the requirement of the law. 2, the extent of damages caused by the said companies on the environment. And 3, whether the compensation for the damages caused by the quarrying has been put in place for the whose properties have been destroyed. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rest my statement.
Yeah, honorable members, statement has been raised by Honorable Maurice Ngeta of Awasi Onjiko ward on the matter of quarrying and steel activities in Awasi Onjiko ward. I'd like to commit this to the Committee of Water, Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources and to bring a report back to the House in 2 weeks. Yes, Honorable Kennedy Ajuang, Jege Jege.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to request for a statement on the matter of implementation of the Kisumu County Women, Youth and Disability Act 2015. Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to the Standing Order number 41, clause 2B, to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Committee on the Sport, Culture, Gender and Youth Affairs on the matter of the management of the implementation of the Kisumu County Women, Youth and Peoples with Disability Fund Regulation 2020. Madam Speaker, I wish to inform this Honorable House that on 17th of November 2020, the CEC, member for the Finance and Economy Planning, through the regulation of the Kisumu County Women, Youth and Peoples with Disability Fund Act 2015, established the Kisumu County Women, Youth and People with Disability Fund, whose objective and purpose was to provide funds to the use for the grant loans to assist women, youth and persons with disability in Kisumu County to promote their enterprises in such as a cost affordable within the county. Madam Speaker, the said regulation was passed by the Assembly in 2020 and the same was forwarded to the Executive for the operationalization in accordance with the law. However, I have taken notice that 4 years down the line, the said regulations have not been implemented. Madam Speaker, I therefore wish to seek for a statement from the chairperson of the Committee on Sport, Culture, Gender and Youth Affairs to provide a response on the following matters. 1, whether the corporate body established pursuant to the Section 4 of the Kisumu County Women, Youth and Persons with Disability Act 2015 is operational. And if not, why has the same not been operational? 2, the status of the Disability Fund established pursuant to the Section 10 of the Kisumu County Women, Youth and Persons with Disability Act 2015 3, provide a report on the status of the implementation of the Kisumu County Women, Youth, and Persons with Disability Act 2015. Madam Speaker,
Honorable members, we've just received a statement on the matter of implementation of the Kisumu County Women, Youth, and PWDs Act 2015. I'd like to order. Can we have some order? Honorable Maurice Ngeta, order. I'd like to commit this statement to the Committee on Sports, Culture, Gender, and Youth Affairs. And we expect a response within 2 weeks, in 2 weeks' time. And I'd like to withdraw the ruling on the statement by Honorable Maurice Ngeta, which I committed to the Committee on Water, Environment, and Natural Resources. Since he's a member of this committee, I would like to request him to raise this matter at the committee level and bring it to the House as a report. Thank you. Honorable Odari.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes.
I would like to know the standing order that you have ruled out, Mr. Honorable Ngeta.
Honorable Adonija, it is not procedural for a member of a committee to seek a statement from the same committee that he belongs to, because he has the opportunity to raise the issue through the committee, according to the committee procedures.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Okay, next statement.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And honorable members, good afternoon. I rise to standing orders number 41-2D of the Kisumu County Assembly standing orders to report on the status of the following activities that were committed to the Committee on Implementation. Madam Speaker and honorable members, this honorable House, during its sitting on Thursday, 4th April 2024, resolved that the Committee on Implementation to submit the implementation status of the following reports and statement before 24th April 2024. Number 1, reports by Health Committee on 1, the status of referral hospitals in Kisumu County; 2, the status of Nyakach County Hospital, Paponditi; 3, the status of sub-county hospital within Kisumu County. 1, the statement by Honorable Oikopete on the implementation status of projects approved by the in the financial year 2022-2023. Madam Speaker and honorable members, the Committee on Implementation at its meeting held on 18th March 2024 scrutinized the resolutions on the aforementioned reports by Health Committee and wrote to the CECM member for Medical Service, Public Health and Sanitation to furnish it with a detailed response on the implementation status of House resolutions on the said report on or before 30th April 2024. The committee is therefore yet to receive the responses. Madam Speaker and honorable members, the committee subsequently, during its meeting held on 19th March 2024, deliberated on the issues raised in the statement by Honorable Oiko, and further wrote letters to the relevant departments requesting them to furnish the committee with a detailed response on the same on the date not later than 23rd April 2024. However, the committee has received responses from the departments, that is, the Department of Health, the Department of Education, and Water. The committee has further written a reminder notice on the same, on the 7 remaining departments. Madam Speaker and honorable members, the committee therefore requests this honorable House to grant it a period of 21 days to conclude its recommendations, its consideration on the responses, and bring a comprehensive report after the 21 days. Thank you, Madam Speaker and honorable members.
Yes, honorable members, I'd grant the permission to extend the report by the Committee on Implementation to a further 21 days and bring a full report back to the House. Clerk, can you go to the next order?
Order number 8, commencement of business. Adoption of the report of Budget and Appropriations Committee on consideration of the Kisumu County Fiscal Strategy Paper Financial Year 2024-2025 by Honorable Jackie Mokech.
Yes, Honorable Jackie Mokech.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, with us here is the report of, for consideration of the Kisumu County Fiscal Strategy Paper for the financial year 2024-2025, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, just before I read the report, I want to inform the members that what I have here is the moving notes, but we did furnish the members with a copy of the report on soft copy, and a few members have the physical document for those who did request, because the final report is a little bit bigger, so sometimes we devise strategy because we give the document in advance. We normally just go with the moving notes so that we just highlight areas of concern, but that does not stop you from going through the entire report, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker and honorable members, the 2024 CFSP, which is to mean County Fiscal Strategy Paper, was submitted to the Assembly on 28th of February 2024 in compliance with Section 117, Part 1 of PFM Act 2012, and was tabled on the floor of the House on Wednesday, 6th March 2024. And that was pursuant to Standing Order number 221, Part 3. The CFSP, Madam Speaker, was committed to the County Budget and Appropriation Committee, as well as sectoral committees who have deliberated on the document in line with their respective mandates and have made recommendations to the County Budget and Appropriation Committee. This policy document, Madam Speaker, serves as a comprehensive blueprint outlining the country's strategic interventions as spelled out in the County Annual Development Plan 2024-2025, aligned with the National Government Budget Policy Statement of 2024-2025. Madam Speaker, the objective of this County Fiscal Strategy Paper is to provide a framework for the preparation of the county budget estimate for the fiscal year 2024-2025, which I think should reach the Assembly before close of business today. I believe today is 30th, so we should be receiving the estimate from Executive today.
in accordance with the Public Finance Management Act 2012. It outlines the guiding principles, fiscal parameters, strategic priorities, and policy goals that will shape our budget process for the next financial year, which is 2024-2025, and the medium term. Madam Speaker, as a procedure for processing this policy document, the sectoral committees held consultative engagement with the line departments on 21st March 2024 and 2nd April 2024 to discuss and review the broad departmental policy priorities and the proposed sector ceilings in line with their mandate. Madam Speaker, the County Budget and Appropriation Committee has conformed to the provisions of Article 196 and 185 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, Section 87 of the County Government Act 2012, Section 117 of the PFM Act 2012, and Standing Order number 221 of the County Assembly on public participation, by seeking public views on the Kisumu County Fiscal Strategy Paper for the financial year 2024-2025 through public participation that was conducted in all the 35 wards of Kisumu County. From that took place on 22nd, 25th, and 26th March 2024 in all the 35 wards of Kisumu County. We have annexed, if you have the mother report, it has been annexed. That is Annex 3 and 4, compiled public participation report. Those are the feedbacks that we got from different wards. Further, Madam Speaker, the committee held consultative engagements with the CCM Finance, Economic Planning and ICT on 13th April 2023 to seek views and recommendations on the CFSP in line with the provisions of Regulation 26, Part 3 of the PFM Regulations of 2015. The recommendations arising from all these deliberations, including public hearings, have been incorporated into this report. And once approved, Madam Speaker, by the House, the recommendations on the 2024 CFSP will form the basis for the finalization of the 2024-2025. The county budget estimate pursuant to Section 117, Part 3 of the PFM Act 2012, Regulation number 26, Part 4 of the PFM Regulations of 2015, and the Kisumu County Assembly Standing Order number 221, that is Part 7 and 8. It is now my pleasant honor and privilege to present the report of the committee on its consideration of the Kisumu County Fiscal Strategy Paper 2024-2025 for consideration and approval, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the reason why we are pushing it is because the executive is waiting for whatever we'll approve here so that they finalize the document. Of the key recommendations, Madam Speaker, and if you have the mother report, that is page 5 to 9 of the main report. Based on the deliberations and considering the fiscal responsibility principles, the committee recommends that this House, that is on financial recommendations, that the revised total county revenue projection, that is of 12,570,473,991 be approved to finance department programs in the financial year 2024-2025. The total revenue comprises, when we say revenue projection, that is the money that we intend to get. That is both the equitable share, conditional grants, and on-source revenue. So the equitable share money that we expect to get from the national government of 8,485,665,357. Conditional grants, that is at 1,601,963,940, adjusted to, we adjusted, adjusted it by 72 million, that is 645,985 from an initial figure of 1,529,317,955 CFSP. So the CFSP had 1.5 billion, and because of some technical errors, the figure was revised to 1.6 billion. As a result of an uncaptured, we call the change maker project of 15 million, KADP of 21,918,919, and a projected NAV CDP increased by 35,727,066 from the initial figure of 151,515,152. Also, revenue projection at 2,482,844,694. That is what we intend to collect in the next financial year. Maybe we thought it will be 3 billion, and maybe members shall discuss about it when we get the document. Part 2, that county executive budget ceiling be approved at 11 billion 643 million 352,633, with the proposed sector ceilings revised and set in line with the international and national obligation Kenya has ratified, such as Maputo and Malabo Declaration, recommendation of 10% of the total budget allocation to the agriculture sector, and contribution to GCP and Governor's Manifesto and the sector priorities spelled out in the second CIDP. That was CIDP 3, second CIDP, then CIDP 3. And county annual development plan that we did pass in this house. Number 3, that the county assembly current budget ceiling be approved at 827,121,355, in line with the most current CARA of 2023, Madam Speaker. That the county assembly be allocated additional. Madam Speaker, there's a correction on that. The figure in the report is reading 100 million, but it should read 172 million outside its ceiling to finance its development project contained in the approved second CIDP and the ADP for the financial year 2024-2025. That is mostly money meant for the construction of the new assembly. We were supposed to have gotten our last disbursement from the executive, but we have not consumed the entire money. So that is why you see the work is still going on. So this is balance of what we were supposed to be given of the entire 500 and something million. And that is why we still have a balance of 172 million. That should be captured clearly, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, number 5, that the CCM Finance and Economic Planning and ICT, in consultation with the CCM Agriculture, to review, revise, and set accurate ceilings towards personnel emolument and operational and maintenance for the Department of Agriculture, Fisheries, Livestock and Development and Irrigation. The revised ceiling should give adequate financial provision for remuneration of the newly recruited 115 extension staff and effectively facilitate extension services for effective service delivery to the farming community. And on this, we were worried that the newly recruited 115 extension staffs should be captured. And again, as I read the Maputo Declaration, agriculture is, Kisumu is considered the, is it called the food basket? And we realized that the department is seriously underfunded. And therefore, the CCM was given a task to liaise with the CCM Agriculture based on the recommendation that the department, the committee gave us when they did their sectoral hearing. So we feel that the Department of Agriculture should be given more money. So we hope that this recommendation is going to be taken seriously, and we hope that once we get the estimates, we'll be able to get a revised ceiling for the Department of Agriculture. That the county treasury to review, revise, and set realistic and accurate on-source revenue target in line with the previous trends and the prevailing county microeconomic environment to reduce the fiscal deficit in the county budget. If you look at the report that we were given here, we are seriously underperforming when it comes to realization of our target. So when we normally perform slightly above 50% from the document that we were given here, so we feel that if we continuously budget and we perform at 50%, then the resultant effect of that deficit is creation of pending bills and maybe projects that have not been done. And that is a complaint in this house, Madam Speaker. Number 7, that the matter of accumulated stock of county pending bills reported at 5,105,504,762 and 23 cents. That was a very worrying figure, Madam Speaker. And as we go forward in your report, there's a breakdown of the 5 billion. You will see what is development in nature, what is recurrent in nature. In the recurrent expenditure, you will be able to know what are the pending bills that are resultant because of litigations that the county is going through. We have gratuities that have not been paid for a very long time. So we also feel that we should keenly look at the issue of pending bill, because instead of it going down, it keeps on growing. And therefore, we are calling for the intervention of this House so that we find a way of reducing the pending bill. Part A of the issue of pending bill, that the CCM Finance and Economic Planning and ICT to appear before the Budget and Appropriation Committee for a comprehensive review, examination, and interrogation of the reported stock of pending bill within 2 weeks of adoption of this report. And that's when we are requesting this House to pass this report, because we feel that the figure of 5 billion is very high and urgent intervention is required. Again, part 1, that we also need to know individual beneficiaries for all the composition of the pending bills owed by the county. We want to know the law firms that are owed by this county, the amount of pending bill in each category accumulated every financial year, so that we know when did the rain start beating us in terms of pending bill, justification for non-remittance, non-payment for the case of non-remitted statutory deductions, and amounts owed to contractors of projects and suppliers of goods and services. You will see in the breakdown, if you have the report, we even have pending bills for is it NHIF and NSSF? So it's a serious case. Pending bill repayment plan, we also want that outlining framework strategies and structures for addressing the matter accumulated pending bill to offset the county fiscal imbalance. Part 8, recommendation number 8, Madam Speaker, that the county treasury to update the reported revenue streams for the supplementary estimates, that is column in the proposed CFSP, in line with the approved county supplementary budget for the financial year 2023-24, resource envelope for accurate comparative analysis of the proposed resource envelope. Yeah, we needed, because if you look at the report you have, when we were working, when you look at the ceilings, there are comparative analysis of even the on-source revenue of the county. So the figure that we had was only up to the first half of the year, that is up to December. So that again was not conclusive enough, and therefore we are asking for more information for us to be able to do a complete comparative analysis. B, financial policy recommendations, Madam Speaker, that the county treasury to operationalize the Kisumu County Ward Development Fund Act 2016 to enhance equal sharing of financial resources to the various wards in this county. Madam Speaker, this is also a very important one, because the issue of somebody deciding for us that it is 20 and maybe we feel that the resource envelope of the county is growing. So we need to operationalize the Ward Development Fund Act of 2016 that is clearly outlined. It's a law with the parameters, so that each and every year we don't have to go to the stairs and second floor every now and then trying to appear as if we are begging the executive to give us allocation for the ward fund. Once we have a law and it is operationalized, I think that will be able to sort the issue of us knowing how much we are getting every year. Number 10, recommendation that the County Assembly to domesticate and enact a County Agricultural Cess Act for the proper management, administration, and implementation of the cess revenue stream that will help us in our own source revenue. Recommendation 11, Madam Speaker, that the County Revenue Board to enforce and implement the following revenue raising measures to reduce the county fiscal deficit. Part 1 is the enforced collection of border fees in line with the approved Finance Act 2023. Collect run rates in conformity to the county valuation roll. Part 3 is ratify debt swap policy with the various institutions and agencies where applicable. Remember, that was an issue that was raised by Honorable Pete, and as a committee, we are also recommending that, so that we have what we call a debt swap policy, so that we don't have every now and then we want to know how Kewasco issue was handled. So we need to develop what we call a debt swap policy with various institutions and agencies of the county, and where applicable, so that the issue of debt swap will also help us reduce the amount of pending bill we have. Claim for payment of contribution in lieu of rates. And then part 5, collaborate with the National Treasury and CRA to develop a model county tariff and pricing policy. Recommendation number 12, Madam Speaker, The County Public Service Board and Directorate of Human Resources to conduct staff rationalization and establish optimal staffing structure to ensure expenditure on personnel emolument complies with Regulation 25, Part 1B of the PFM Act, Regulation 2015. The report on staff rationalization and establishment to be submitted to the Assembly by July 2023. We need this report because, you know, in our budget, we usually don't comply. And I'm very sure that the estimate that is coming, we haven't complied because we have ever employed and we are spending more on personnel emolument than what is stipulated in the law. Recommendation number 13, Madam Speaker, that the County Treasury to collaborate with CRA, that is Commission of Revenue Allocation, and National Treasury to train and capacity build the County Revenue Board, economic planners and the staff on fiscal policy making, tax analysis, realistic revenue forecasting in conformity to the government finance statistics of 2014, manual for purpose of generating accurate revenue statistics and forecasting. Madam Speaker, we feel that we should be able to accurately predict our revenue, and even if we were to have a margin of error, it should be plus or minus 1 or 2, but not performing at 51%, and we keep on repeating the same mistake. Recommendation number 14, the Governor of Kisumu to negotiate, and this is very key, with the national government through the Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee for the transfer of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Technical and Referral Hospital, that is JTRH, to the national government. The hospital is being a regional facility, it exploits county budgetary resource, further undermining budgetary allocation to other critical sectors in the county, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, health is the biggest consumer of our budget. That is over 30% of it, and that is close to over 3.5 billion. And remember, out of this 3.5 billion, we are able to save close to 2 billion if the national government takes JTRH. So meaning, number one, that alone will solve our issue of pending bill, meaning all the projects that are done, we are able to pay for them. And meaning we can easily solve so many problems, and it can also increase our development outlay in the budget. And therefore, if the governor is able to successfully negotiate this, of course I know there was a cabinet paper on the same, but we are waiting for the feedback. But we also hope that we as an assembly will do our part to ensure that JTRH goes to national government and we are able to save that money so that other health sectors will be able to be developed and the rest of the money could be used for other development purposes. The governor of Kisumu, that is number 15, to collaborate with other city governors and negotiate with the national government for an additional budgetary allocation to city counties to stimulate rapid growth and development of the cities. Madam Speaker, sometimes it is sad that we are a county with a city, just like Nairobi and Nakuru and Mombasa, but you find other counties getting more money than even us. And you remember the complexities that the city comes with. So we feel that in the formulation of the revenue formula, there should be an additional matrix that gives more money to counties with cities. So we are requesting the governor, of course I know it is a conversation that is taking place at the Council of Governors, but we also hope that just like other regions are getting money because they are underdeveloped, the fact that we have cities also should be able to give us money as a county. And that again will help us increase what we get as a county. Part C and non-financial recommendations, Madam Speaker. The non-financial recommendations presented in this report are general recommendations made to address cross-cutting issues emerging from submissions made by the respective sectoral committees, members of the public and stakeholders, and a close review of various sections of the proposed Kisumu County Fiscal Strategy paper for the financial year 2024-2025 by the committee. Number 16, that the sectoral committee and the implementation committee, and this is very important, to review, investigate, and verify the implementation status of various development projects for the previous financial year, that is 2022-2023, and the first half of this financial year, to validate the details reported in the CFSP and COSA report, submit a report to this House. Madam Speaker, we feel that the absorption level is still not up to where we need it, and so many projects have not been implemented, Madam Speaker. And therefore, we are asking the Committee of Implementation to help in that. Number 17, that the Department of Education, Technical Training, Innovation and Social Services to submit to the Assembly a detailed report on the management, effectiveness and sustainability of the school feeding program within 2 weeks of adoption of this report. This report shall form the basis of approval of the program in the next financial year, that is 2024-2025. For those who are there, you can remember that the issue of school feeding program, I mean, is it achieving the desired goal? Are we getting fulfillment in terms of implementation? Are you sure we are feeding our children, or it is we are creating a tender for somebody? Is the allocation enough to be able to feed our children, or we only take rice and beans to the schools for 2 days and we are saying we are doing school feeding program? I think that we leave to members, and also we leave to the Department of Education to give us a report once we adopt this in 2 weeks' time, so that members can make a determination on the same. Number 18, Madam Speaker, that the County Assembly to collaborate, partner with the National Treasury to equip and capacity build MCS on public finance management for effective oversight of the management and administration of public finances in line with the multi-agency task force recommendation to the challenges faced by county government in management of public finances. Madam Speaker, training and capacity building is a continuous process. Of course, we had started on a good note, we have done some, but as a committee, we also feel that the entire House should be capacity built on public finance management and on issues of oversight. And this was also recommended by the multi-agency task force on the same. Part 19, that the county sectors, departments to prioritize allocating financial resources to pending bills, ongoing projects, incomplete stall projects in the financial year 2024-2025 budget before embarking on new projects to put the county on stable fiscal balance. That is why we are calling for the Committee of Implementation. If you did budget for a project and it has not been done, why do we again budget for a new one? So we feel that the department should give priority to projects that were budgeted and have not been implemented. They should form the first line in our new budget, and I hope the members will be able to support that. And we also believe that the pending bill, I can remember at some point the governor had promised to clear the pending bills within 2, 3, 4 years, but it's like we are now on the second term and we are still talking on the same. We have a lot of incomplete and stalled projects that are ever in our budget for several successive financial years. And I believe my brother, Honorable Pete, will be able to tell you that there are projects that we came in, they have been in the budget throughout, and they are still there. So we need to, Kuching, I don't want to mention any, but Kuching tomato is one of them, and there are several of the same. They are ever there, so you wonder, what's with this kind of projects? Number 20, the Department of Infrastructure, Energy and Public Works to conduct costing of development projects approved in the CIDP 3, and ADP 2024-2025, and present the report to the House by May 2024 to eliminate challenge of under or overcosting of development projects leading to under absorption of the development budget. Of course, we are behind schedule. You remember last year we had agreed as we were passing the budget, there were several recommendations that the department to help us with the costing of the projects. We had an issue of projects being undercosted, and therefore they were not able to be implemented. And therefore we had requested the department to help us in costing of the projects early enough. In fact, they should do costing of all the roads in the county. So what remains is only for people to always pick. You only decide that this financial year I did this road, so this time around I'm going to do this road, and the costs are there. If you go to Kabonyo Kanyagwal and they have 23 roads, we should be able to have the cost of all these 23 roads, because we have a lot of staff and they are normally idle in most of the time. They only start working when we implement projects. So we believe that can be done on all our roads. On 21, the CCM for Public Service, County Administration and Participatory Development Office of the Governor to submit to the House updated county staff payroll to justify the projected expenditure on personnel emolument of 5,423,502,362 within 2 weeks of approval of this report, we need to know, where are we spending the 5.4 billion on staff? Can we have a listing of all the staff per department so that we know who is consuming what, who is consuming what? And that is why we need this report from public service. We also, at least the report should be able to tell us also if we have ghost workers, how many people are we paying that are within the IPPD, how many are we paying outside the IPPD? So that is what the report intends to solve. The county treasury, in collaboration with the Department of Lands, Physical Planning and Housing and Urban Development, to operationalize the county GIS centers for proper analysis and interpretation of geographical data, for enhanced equity, balanced resource distribution, and to minimize duplication of development projects in future. The GIS was able to tell you where the exact project is. The GIS was also going to help us in mapping of our revenue centers. You are able to know how many businesses are paying for the trade license, where exactly are they. So we hope if they operationalize this, then we are able to get the information. The county treasury to submit MOUs, work plans, project description for all donor-funded conditional and unconditional grants to the assembly as mandatory supporting schedules accompanying the proposed budget estimates for the financial year 2024-2025. We have been implementing so many donor projects, but without MOUs. Most of our members don't have the MOUs. We don't know the agreements, just like we have KISIP in so many words, but we don't know the work, MOU. There's no document. Of course, even the national government is trying to work on something, and that is why we are also requesting an assembly so that we have all the work plans, the project descriptions. We know that KUSP 2 is coming, which is over 4 billion. So we need to know where are they going to do the work so that as an assembly we are able to know and inform members of the public. 24, the CCM Finance, Economic Planning and ICT, and the counterparts for lands, physical planning, housing and urban development to prepare and submit to the assembly the county spatial plan and sector plans in line with section 109 and 110 of the County Government Act 2012 and PFM Act 2012 to address the existing gap between planning, policy and budgeting before August, just in line in what we were saying of GIS and special plan. And part 2, which is the compliance to legal framework underpinning the preparation of the CFSP. Madam Speaker, honorable members, the committee assessed the CFSP to ascertain compliance to the underpinning legal framework on its preparation pursuant to the provision of section 107, 117 of the PFM Act 2012 and regulation number 25, 26, 27, 28 and 32 of the PFM regulations of 2015. A critical review reveals that most of the information have been provided. However, there are some requirements which have not been met, which we have highlighted here. And that is on fiscal responsibility, Madam Speaker. The expenditure ceiling for P&E, which as I mentioned earlier is at 43% of the total county budget, and that contravenes the provisions of Regulation 25, Part 1B of the PFM. You know, our personnel emolument should be at 35, and you see where we are. In fact, it should be at 30, right? 35, right? So we are at 43, towards 50%. So we are spending, on every 100 shillings we get, we are spending 43 shillings to pay staff. So remember, that is on P&E alone. We still haven't included O&M and then development. So almost half of our budget is going for paying staff. The county stock pending bills reported at 5.1 billion translate to 40% of the total projected county revenue, contravening the provisions of Regulation 25(1) of the PFM Regulation 2015, setting the county on primary fiscal imbalance. If we were to pay all our debts in this financial year, we will spend 40% of our revenue. So if you already spend 43 on P&D and 40 on paying the entire pending bill, we are only going to be left with 17%. So the county is standing on very dangerous grounds. Prudent management of risk. The county treasury has failed to implement mitigation measures in provision of risk management to reduce county stock of pending bill. Number 2, content of the fiscal framework contained in the CFSP.
What is it, Honorable Lumumba?
Madam Speaker, I would just like to request the the chairman, since he's reading work notes, he should also bring us to speed by so quoting the page that he's referring to, because as we have a document that is comprehensive, it will be easier for us to make reference, just to say, from your working notes, on page this, then we go to that page. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Chair, continue, but I'd like to maybe just make a point clear that I don't know whether it's possible to quote pages from your moving notes, because the document is quite big. Yeah, so maybe Chair, continue. You can give your response.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Of course, where we are able to quote the page we are doing, but whatever I'm reading are the recommendations. So if you go to the tail end of the report, just before annexes, you are going to get the recommendations outlined there. So we normally assume that members have read the report, so we just give a brief. Otherwise, if I were to read the entire document, we could go up to 7. And I believe we have a lot of sharp members here who are able to comprehend this document very easily. And that is why I'm also attempting to explain majority leader so that members are able to understand. But if you go, the recommendations are the same. Whatever I have here is whatever we have on the document. So if I continue, the CFSP does not provide an updated medium-term forecast of revenues and expenditure for a further 3 years. Additionally, it does not give a detailed expenditure breakdown containing the following information as per the requirements of Regulation 27, Part 1A, and that is subsection 2 and 3 of PFM Regulation of 2051, level of budgetary expenditure by economic and functional classifications, and 2, capital expenditures. It does not give further breakdown. One of projects that are going to incur a lot of money, that is what we mean by capital expenditures. These are expenditures with what we call initial or big outlays. Let me use that for understanding. Part 3, credibility of the microeconomic framework regulations. That is on Regulation 26, Part 1. The CFS 2024 does not give a forecast of GCP and the corresponding growth rate sectors contributing to the GCP and the per capita gross county product for the next financial year, contravening provisions of Regulation 26, Part 1A and PFM regulations of 2015. I mean, it does not give the growth of our per capita gross county product. That is the average of what we produce within Kisumu County, because Kisumu County is not just a consumer economy, but we also have what we produce within Kisumu County. So it does not give that in this. And again, the microeconomic environment is primarily for accurate tax and revenue forecasting. I mean, of course, these are economics, and we also needed to know the performance of the economy in Kisumu County in terms of how much the gross domestic product within Kisumu County. We also need to know the inflation level within Kisumu County so that we know how much, if you have 100 shillings, how much are you losing in terms of inflation. We also need to know the performance. There's so many microeconomic variables that are not given in this, and we don't want to go into details. And these alone are able to guide in terms of taxing. You know, we call it revenue. But when you are telling a trader now to pay you 10,000, did you look at the macroeconomic performance, the impact of that money? Is the trader able to generate enough revenue to be able to pay the 10,000 per year in terms of, here the name is as tax, but some of them we call them revenues for us because it's money that comes into the county. On leakages of the CFSP to international, regional, national obligation and long and medium term plans, Madam Speaker, the committee has equally evaluated the alignment of the CFSP to international, regional and national obligation and the long and medium term county plans, and observes as follows: that the county fiscal strategy paper is closely linked to Vision 2030, Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, the Governor Manifesto, CIDP 3, that is for the financial year 2023-2027, and the annual development plan for the financial year 2024-2025. But on the annual development plan, Madam Speaker, I think there was a problem when we were doing analysis of the ward-based projects. And this I have to mention that most members did assume all the projects that they had in the ADP. And just for a few members, and most members who tried to comply were coming for wards outside the city. I know I am affected. Most of the wards within the city did not comply with regards to ADP. They just created entirely new projects, Madam Speaker. But because we normally say that budget is a negotiated document, I was at pain to explain that some of these projects as a result of the current happenings within the country, and some of them as a result of natural calamities. We have a lot of roads that have been swept by the floods. We have a lot of things that have happened. Most of the rural wards do not have the roads. So that is why we had to try and explain why some of the projects were not in the ADP. And again, most of the town wards on the roads, some of the roads that we had proposed have been done by KISIP, and that justified change of those particular projects. I know you're going to see that when the budget comes. Those are some of the issues that were raised, and I hope the cabinet gave us leeway. The cabinet, I think, started yesterday, so we are able to know their recommendations as we wait for the document. 28, Madam Speaker, notwithstanding, we have noted that the CFSP does not conform to certain fundamental obligations and planning frameworks, as highlighted here under Comprehensive Africa Agriculture Development Agenda, that is Malabo and Maputo Declaration. The obligation requires that agriculture sector be allocated a minimum budget of 10% of the total county revenue. So if our revenue is 13 billion, then we should be able to give agriculture 10% of that, which equates to around, I think, 1.3 billion. However, the CFSP said the agriculture department ceilings at 3.9% of the total county revenue. So we still have almost 6.1, and the chair was reminding me on that. And that is why you see our key recommendations of agriculture are highlighted in bold in nature, so that the CC Finance and the CC Agriculture can sit and improve the development budget of agriculture. The CFSP, Part B, lack of special plan and sector plan, that is Section 109 and 110 of the County Government Act 2012. The CFSP has outlined various sector strategic priorities, objective policies, programs, and projects to be implemented by the county in the next financial year without development guidelines and frameworks contained in the special plan and sector plans, portraying a weak link between planning and budgeting. That is very true. Part 4, county fiscal performance. And if you have the book, the mother project majority leader, that is page 15 to 18 of the main report, analysis of on-source revenue performance. You can check it from page 15 to 18. Madam Speaker and Honorable Members, the matrix below present data on county on-source revenue performance trend for the last consecutive 7 years, starting from 2016 to 2017 to financial year 2023-2024, and the first half of the financial year 2023-2024. This year, just like I said earlier, we only have the results for the first half. It compares the budget estimates of revenues projection against the actual collection within the period of analysis. So if you look at that page, you can see that in 2023-2024, quarter 1, we only did 233 million. 742,220. Quarter 2, we did 100. A quarter is 3 months. Members, you need to get that clearly. We did 192 million in quarter 2, 544. 192,544,112. Remember, we had a target of 2.1 billion, 2.2 billion. So for us to achieve the target of 2.2 billion, and we have 4 quarters in a year, meaning we should be doing 500 million each and every quarter. So that alone shall tell you where we are. If quarter 1 we did 233, less than 50%. In quarter 2 we did 192. I think that is close to just slightly over 30%. And that is why I was saying it is worrying that within the first half we have only collected 426 against 1 billion. So our revenue projection, we still have a problem, but in case of revenue collection also, we are still doing poorly. And you can see here the on-source projection was 2.2. So up to the first half of the financial year, we have only realized 18%. If you compare again to 2022, 2023, you can see that in quarter one, we have done, at least we have improved in quarter one, but again, we have gone down in quarter two. That is, if we compare with the last financial year. In terms of overall performance of last financial year, we had a projection of 1.7, we collected 1.1. So we did 65%. 2021, 2022, you can also see the performance here. And we collected 982 million, against a projection of 1.5 billion. We were at 62%. So our performance has been very low. And you can see as given in the table, except on 2017, 2018, which we did 76%, we had projected 1.1 and collected 874 million. And for the first time we did the 1 billion mark was in 2018, 2019. And also we performed at 73%, projected 1 billion, and then we collected 1.3 billion. So let's hope that with the introduction of the revenue board, we will be able to get to the 2 billion back. Of course, they promised us that they were doing well in quarter three. Quarter three, that is where we receive most of our land rates and the trade licenses. So that is the quarter where we normally perform most. So let's see if they are able to recover the deficits of the first and second quarter. A committee recommended observations, Madam Speaker. The county treasury has continuously fallen short of its revenue target, translating into pending bills. Remember, when we plan to collect 2 billion, we have also procured projects worth the same amount. So when we don't have the money, then these files will go to pending bill, Madam Speaker. The county also's revenue performance for the first half of this current financial year is consistent with the dismal performance from the previous years. Despite the county having fully established county revenue board, operationalized the new valuation role, recruited revenue-based staff, and automated revenue collection to seal the revenue leakages. Those are all things that we've done to the Department of Revenue for us to be able to realize. Given them the board, operationalized the new valuation role, we have recruited new revenue staff and automated revenue collection to seal revenue leakages, but we are still not getting the results, Madam Speaker. Part B, the county total expenditure performance. This is now expenditure. That was the collection. Now this is the expenditure. Speaker, the table below shows data on total county expenditure performance trend for the last 4 years again. How we consume, let me say the consumption, the absorption rate of the county. On 2023-2024, the budget approved was 13.6 billion. The actual expenditure to date, 5.5 billion. So we still have a variance of 8.1 billion. So the performance at 40%, but we can say that we are at, we can argue that by the time we were getting the report, we were only at the first half of the year, and that is why we are at 40%. But if you look at 2022-2023, where the budget was 12 billion, 45,283,582, but the actual expenditure was at 9,304,926,308. We did not consume 2.7 billion. So meaning the performance was at 77.25. 2021-2022, the budget was 12 billion. We consumed 9 billion, a variance of 3.1 billion. So we performed at 74.53. So you can see that we are still not able to consume the entire amount of money that we budget. That is something that is continually being raised even in the controller's report. We normally see it. Sometimes even up to the end of second quarter, when they give you development absorption rate, some counties were at completely zero. So that is a place we need to make a good observation and find how to solve. The committee observation in the county average expenditure performance for the last consecutive financial years stands at 76.14. That the under-absorption of the county budgetary expenditure is mainly attributed to delay in procurement processes from the feedback we were getting, late exchequer releases, and unmet onsource target, amongst many challenges. Submission by sectoral committees and Madam Speaker, pursuant to provision of Standing Order number 221 per 3, the County Assembly, the committee has received submissions from various sectoral committees resulting from their consultative engagement with the respective line departments conducted on 21st March 2024 and 2nd April. A comprehensive considered report of the observation recommendations by the sectoral committee are part of this report, and if you have the mother report, you check Annex 1. The committee received requests from sectoral committee to enhance the ceiling of various departments. They are mandated to oversight. However, given the constrained physical space, the need to adhere to the fiscal consolidation principle, this request, though critical, some could not be accommodated within the available resource envelope. Most committees were requesting that the ceiling be increased, be moved upward, be increased. But because the resource envelope remained the same, if you were to increase the ceiling of another department, meaning you have to reduce for a completely different department. The ones approved for adjustment have been outlined in our fiscal recommendations. On public participation, Madam Speaker, that is page 18 and 19 of the main report, Majority Leader. Madam Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Article 196 and 185 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, Section 87 of the County Government Act 2012 and Section 117 of the PFM Act 2012, and Standing Order 221 of the County Assembly on public participation, and committee invited the public through an advert circulated on the Star and Nation newspaper on 15th March. You can see it on Annex 2, to attend public participation on the CFSP held on 22nd, 25th, and 26th March 2024 in all the 35 wards of Kisumu County. Members of the public honored and turned up for this exercise in most of the wards except the following. There are wards that members of the public did not turn up. Maybe they did not understand the importance of the document. And that was in Seme, North Seme, in Kisumu West, Central Kisumu, in Nyakach, North Nyakach, West Nyakach, Central Nyakach. I don't know what is happening there. In Kisumu East, Kajulu, Kisumu Central, Kaloleni. My dear sister is here. We shall know why they did not turn up. And Market Milimani. The committee has revised a total of 13 memoranda from the following stakeholders and community-based groups. Ponge community from Awasi-Onjiko, Galiech community from Awasi-Onjiko, Angoro Farmers Cooperative from Awasi-Onjiko Ward, Nyando Human Rights Advocacy and Development Network, Angoro Village in Board 2 sublocation from Awasi-Onjiko Ward, Pala community from Awasi-Onjiko Ward, Obugoro Child Caregivers and Environmentalist Self-Help Group, St. Francis or Young Development Program, CBO, Akwanya Village from Awasi-Onjiko Ward, Ponge again is coming, and we also have Nyalenda Community Members Network for Adolescent and Youth Africa. Those are areas where we received memorandum. There were 13 in total. The committee has considered submission from the public engagement in its recommendations to this House and attached both the compiled submissions from each ward. All the submissions from each ward is annexed on the report, and you have it. Number 7, stock of county pending bills. And if you have the report, Majority Leader, page 19 and 20 of the main report. The county stock of accumulated pending bill stands at 5,105,504,762 and 23 cents. This is a decrease of 243,304,163 shillings and 71 cents from the amount of 5,350,808,925 and 94 cents reported in the financial 2022-2023 debt management strategy paper. So in the debt management strategy paper, up to the time we are having the CFSP, the pending bills have only reduced by 245 million, Madam Speaker. The matrix below outlines the total county pending bills portfolio. And members, you need to look keenly into this so that you look at the recurrent, that is just suppliers that have not been paying in the recurrent. You can see it there, 766 million. That is 2024. In 2023, it was 447. Development for contractors, 1.2 billion. It was initially 1.6. NSSF, just like I said earlier, you can see the figure there, 459 million. Gratuity, 410 million. LAP fund, 544 million. Legal fees and court decree, 317 million. LAP trust, 135 million. National Housing and Corporation, 1.2 billion. This national housing, we did approve this in the assembly at some moment. when they were looking for this money. Observation and findings. So this is why we have a problem with the executive with regards to pending bill. And you can look at this breakdown. Some of this, like gratuity, why are they not remitting NSSF? So those are areas where the committee is requesting that we do summon them, and we need to get comprehensive answer on the same. That the county treasury has failed to implement mitigation measures in the previous debt management strategy paper to effectively reduce county debt portfolio. The county stock of pending bill reported at 5,000,000,001 or 5,000,005 or 4,762 and 23 cents to 40.8% of the total projected county revenue, contravening the provisions of Regulation 25 Part 1D and 179 Part 1 of the PFM regulations of 2015, setting the county on primary fiscal imbalance, Madam Speaker. The county does not have public debt as per the definition under Section 214, Part 2 of the Constitution of Kenya 20, which defines public debt as a financial obligation attended to loans raised or guaranteed and security issued or guaranteed by the national government. The pending bill categories reported disclosed are not comprehensively supported with the following details for justification. 1, individual beneficiaries for all the composition of pending bills owed by the county. Category B, category of pending bill accumulated for each and every financial year. Justification for non-remittance, non-payment of the case of non-remitted statutory deductions and amount owed to contractors of projects and suppliers of goods and services. D, pending bill repayment plan outlining the framework and formula for setting the accumulated pending bill set to the county on stable fiscal imbalance, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, that is why I highlighted the importance of the pending bill. And therefore, Madam Speaker, it is therefore my pleasant undertaking on behalf of the County Budget and Appropriation Committee to table this report in this House and recommend it for its adoption, Madam Speaker. I therefore move the motion and call upon Madam Pamela to second. Thank you very much.
Yes, Honorable Pamela. Yeah.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I stand to second the report, which has been read by the Chair Committee Budget. Madam Speaker, it is a requirement that the CFC report should be tabled to the Assembly by 30th of April, which has been done accurately, and I therefore stand to second. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, and now that the report by the County Budget and Appropriation Committee on the report on consideration of the Kisumu County Fiscal Strategy Paper for financial year 2024-2025 and the medium term has been presented and seconded as per standing orders, I want to propose that the report by the County Budget and Appropriation Committee on the report on the consideration of the Kisumu County Fiscal Strategy Paper for the financial year 2024-2025 and the medium term is now open for debate. Yes, Honorable Tom Nyaoke of North Nyakach Ward.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to support this motion. Madam Speaker, but I will address myself on some few issues that have been read on this document, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wish to address myself particularly on, if you look at the financial recommendations which have been given, section number 7, Madam Speaker. I think this one it's something that we need to worry about, and that the solution to this particular problem will definitely help us in this assembly, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, it is also in everyone's knowledge that Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o, who is our current governor, is set to retire in 2027, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, it is our concern that we don't let him go for retirement with some baggage on his back with things called pending bills, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, when we got to this assembly, we found pending bills running. But now, Madam Speaker, the rate at which the pending bills is going up is too much, Madam Speaker. As we speak now, Madam Speaker, we are talking about a tune of 5 billion being pending, stock of pending bills, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, when is Kisumu County going to remain without pending bills? And if it cannot be taken back to zero, it should be to the level that is tolerable, Madam Speaker, not skyrocketing the way it is going, because I'm sure if we leave it go like this, Madam Speaker, maybe the next financial year, by the end of next financial year, it is going to be about 8 billion, Madam Speaker. Do we want to shut this country down? Madam Speaker, if it is a matter that some people have to go home, they have to go home if they cannot perform. We can't have a CC, a minister, a finance minister, who cannot control this kind of serious issues, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I am standing to support this motion because if we are able to address this number 7, and I can see they have classified from part 1, that part B of that, part A, if I start with part A, that is CCM, Finance, Economic Planning and ICT, to appear before the Budget and Appropriations Committee for a comprehensive review, examination and interrogation of the reported stock of pending bills. Madam Speaker, and I want to impress upon the members that shall be sitting at that particular time that the appearance of that CEC should be made serious. He is supposed to explain to us why he cannot and why he is unable to stop this calamity, Madam Speaker. I dare call it a calamity because now the pending bills is becoming unmanageable, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I think we even discussed in this assembly some times back things related to that pending bills. We wanted to know the breakdown of particular owners of these bills, Madam Speaker. But I think all our questions went to deaf ears. They have never been answered to date, Madam Speaker. I therefore want to put it on record that this period of time that has been given immediately after the adoption of this report, we expect to see them sitting 2 weeks after this with the CEC to explain why such a thing is taking place, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the other thing that I wanted to address is the school feeding program. These are some of the things that if we don't look at, Madam Speaker, is going to eat into our finances, Madam Speaker, and yet we cannot know, we cannot see the results. The Education Committee should explain to us the progress they have made, because we don't see these school feeding programs. But every time they come here, we give them money, we give them the allocation, but we don't see any school feeding program going on, Madam Speaker. Where is this school feeding program going on? They should come, tell us the progress of this, Madam Speaker, and if they are unable to substantiate it, we are ready to disband and disconnect that issue of school feeding program if it is not helping us, Madam Speaker. It is high time that we consolidate our finances for the greater good of the people, not just the things that we are unable to explain, Madam Speaker. I did hear the chairman even asking that is it because we are trying to make businesses for some other people by supplying these food items but to non-existent schools, Madam Speaker. And then at the end of the day, they will appear in what is called the pending bills. Let this pending bill not be a cash cow for some people, Madam Speaker. And we are not going to allow anyone, to interfere with the good plan of the retirement of Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o. If you cannot work, you just step aside and let us give him his opportunity to retire well. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I beg to support.
Yes, Honorable Lumumba Wede, the Deputy Leader of Majority.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, first and foremost, allow me to congratulate the able chairman for Budget and Appropriation Committee for a well-researched report. Much as I would wish to support the report, I have some reservations to make. Madam Speaker, the chair has categorically highlighted some of the issues that are pertinent. For example, the wage bill. This wage bill animal has been echoed in this house severally, and even the recommendations. Every time and again, even last year, we had the same issue. What is it that these recommendations of ours cannot be implemented? That brings us to the functions and roles of our committees. It is actually at the committee level that we should ensure that all the recommendations that are made are adhered to. Otherwise, we will just be debating in this house with no action to follow. It's a very good recommendation, and it is for this that I support this report, but we must ensure that our recommendations are acted upon. Madam Speaker, the issue of absorption is the same goes back to the committee. It is at the committee level that the CECs come to defend their budget. Then you still give them more money. For example, someone did not absorb last year's financial year, maybe absorption was 30%. Then he comes again, he wants 100%. What is the justification for giving him more money? If anything, it should just be stagnated at that 30% because he has not proved to us that he can absorb more. So we give him what he can. If these committees can ensure that that is done, then we will wake up our sleeping members of CCs. Madam Speaker, the public participation is a very good and very noble idea, but I still have issues with public participation. The public participation lacks what is called capacity building and civic education. Because if you see the turnout and the representation, there is something like, it's a very good idea. It is high time that we also think of how to inject some funds for civic education and capacity building in order that we get quality reports from public participation. You will agree with me that from the report we got, particularly my Southeast Nyakash, if whatever is brought here is anything to go by, those reports were shallow. Some of them were repetition. Others were not even reflecting on what is actually on the ground. We may not blame them ultimately, but I believe we should do something so that we walk this tall walk together. Madam Speaker, again, in terms of development, particularly to each and every ward, I envy what actually is happening in our county, because most of say municipal wards, it's like they get double. They benefit from KISIP, they benefit from city, and then they benefit from ward development. Just as the Speaker has narrated here that we urge the national government to take over JOTRH. On the same breath, I would ask that even Moi Stadium should be removed from our county budget to city budget to give us room for some of our wards to develop sport facilities in our wards, because it is taking a chunk of the sports or culture department money, leaving the rural wards with very little or minimum to develop our sports activity in the rural wards. Madam Speaker, this so-called absorption rate, it is squarely to be blamed on our CCM, and it is only the CCMs that appear before the committees to explain. But when they come to explain this, they keep on blaming their subordinate staff. We do not have access, and we are not even allowed to question their subordinates by law. So the ball starts and stops with them. And therefore, we should really up our game on how to handle the CCMs who are responsible for the implementation of the projects that are supposed to be, so that we do away with this lack of proper absorption. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Madam Speaker, thank you.
Yes, Honorable Benny Oikopete of Kabonyo Kanyagwa.
Madam Speaker, I have seen a trend from the Budget Committee, which is laudable, from the report of last week on syrup and the report of today. And Chair, I plead, this is a very important report, very informative. The only problem we now have is that we don't have enough hard copies. If the WASEs could get the hard copies, they will be reading them slowly, and they will become finance officers. They will understand a lot of finance matters involved in these reports. That is my request number one, Chair. But, Chair, going through this report, it gives a true picture of the financial management of Kisumu County. The CPROP report and the report of today, County Fiscal Strategy Paper, which is a budget policy paper for 2024-2025, gives us a good picture of the gloomy picture of our financial management. What do we do on this? The picture is that we need to hasten our oversight on the executive. The performance here today, we are being told 2022-2023 is 77%. In the CPROP report, it was 66%. So you need, because these are now records of this house, which we should be making reference to. But it still gives us the picture, but all is not well in our performance as a county. Madam Speaker, when we look at this report, Kisumu County needs to pull up its socks. And when we also refer to another important record, the audited account of Kisumu County gives us the true picture of what CPROP and County Fiscal Strategy Paper gives us, which means the control of the budget, the Auditor General, are giving us a true picture. And then we fail when we come to Pick-Pack Committee, who when they come here with their report, they also want to become the auditors. They give the leeway 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, as if they are empowered to audit the books of accounts. When a report has been formulated by the Office of the Auditor General, and we have found that they have raised flags of a lot of matters, our work is just now to commit it to Ethics Anti-Corruption Commission or Director Criminal Investigations Office. We don't beat a lot of stories. And I'm asking our colleagues who are in that committee to take their time and read the CPROP report and this report of today to guard them, so that when the audited one will come, we don't beat about the bush. Because when we want to oversight, what documents do we use to oversight the executive? These are the documents we use. We don't create our stories, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, the wage bill in this county is a thorny issue. When Governor Nyong'o took over, the wage bill was at 35%. There is record to show that. Go look at the approved budget of 2017-2018. And the technical staff has not been employed adequately in this government. So we need to know, is it the salary increase that has brought this problem? Or are they the political appointment? Or which other appointment has raised the wage bill that is being assumed to be reaching 50%? And when it comes to the matters of staff audit, this had been done in the past, and the result was zero. It was assumed there was ghost workers, and when the staff audit was done, the element of ghost workers did not come up, which means a lot needs to be done to establish the skyrocketing of wage bill in Kisumu County. The matter of pending bill has also been a thorny issue. Most of the financial years, the Assembly has been approving 1 billion plus for the pending bills. And from the figure we are getting today, it is suspicious when the pending bill has been adequately handled. So that needs to be investigated. And on the pending bills, the statutory deductions, this matter of statutory deductions, they have not been paid. They have not been paid lab trust. That is money collected, deducted from staff and should be submitted so that when they retire, they get their gratuity. And it is not being submitted. We are also seeing here lab trust, lab fund, gratuity. Gratuity, that is money that the county is deducted from the county budget and remitted on behalf of the staff. They also don't remit that. And there are some deductions which are also not stated here. They pay as you earn and VAT. Chances are very high that the pay as you earn and VAT are also not being remitted. Chair, we need to look at this also. Because when it comes to taxes, the president gave amnesty up to 31st December 2022, that the interest and the penalties were not to be paid, only the principal sum. And if it happens that the county government has not paid all this, the penalty and the interest will accumulate and the figure will be alarming. On development, we are seeing here 1.6 billion as development. That is for the contractors. And the suppliers at 2024 is 1.2 development. And suppliers 766. This idea of not paying the contractors and the suppliers in time has killed the entrepreneurs. The government brought a very good system, the LPO financing, the LSO financing, where once a businessman has been given business by a county government, they will go to the bank to get loan. And after the work has been done, the county is expected to pay the contractor, pay the supplier, and to service the loan. County governments have failed on this, where they take 3, 4, 5 years before doing payment. The interest at the bank will go up to an alarming level where the contractor, the supplier, will not be able to service. As someone sits in the office comfortably, not paying the contractors and the suppliers, is doing a disservice, is killing the economy of the county. And Chair, in the CPROP, a figure was calculated out of development that 1.2 billion was not spent. And this is where we get the problem. On poor procurement plan and the authority to incur expenditure. When there's poor procurement plan, whereby a half of the financial year, procurement has not been completed. Like we are now going to pass the budget. If by December this year, all the projects have not been procured, and the ones that will be procured from January, February, those ones will not be done. So we must monitor, and it has been a hearsay here. It has been a song here that we should monitor the procurement plan, but we don't do it. That is where things go hayway. Things don't succeed. And the authority to incur expenditure. This is got from the finance minister. At what time does he give this authority? And at what intervals? And when he gives the authority to incur expenditure, what does it entail to make the work flow? These are matters which, if we don't address, however much we talk here, we shall just be beating about the bush. Chair, Madam Speaker, we are now seeing the trend of our revenue collection very poor. But the chair has given an encouragement that the third quarter is where a lot of collection is expected. We let us pray, but that during the third quarter and the fourth quarter, the collection will be reasonable, so that the target of 2.2 is realized, or a reasonable figure is realized. But with the establishment of revenue board, if the on-source revenue collection still fails the way it has been failing, then the county government will be expected to go back to the drawing board. Madam Speaker, it is my hope that when we shall be getting this kind of reports and we discuss them adequately, we shall be taking Kisumu County in the right direction. The matter of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga teaching at the referral hospital is being echoed in this house from time to time. I hope good effort is being made. But Madam Speaker, let us not just be happy that we want to transfer Russia to national government. There are a number of services being offered at Russia which our people will still need. So those services, we must have alternative. And the alternative is Kisumu County Referral Hospital. So as we release Jaramogi Oginga Odinga to national government to become a parastatal, those resources we shall use to elevate Kisumu County Referral Hospital for those services that our people will not be able to access at Russia. We must just be reasonable. That money will not just be left there idle. We must develop our healthy facilities. I hope that will be taken positively. And with those few remarks, Madam Speaker, Will I say I so contribute so that another colleague takes over?
Yes, Honorable Komuda.
Many thanks, Madam Speaker. Many thanks to honorable members. A big clap to the Budget Committee through their able chair, through the able members for compiling a very comprehensive number of paged document. My areas of I arise here today to support for the adoption of the report, a very good report, well captured, albeit with some shortcomings in few areas, but that is very normal under normal circumstances. Some areas specifically touch to what relates to my capacity in my ward development portfolio that says or talks of the operationalization of the monies which are supposed to flow to the wards uniformly or equitably. Just on process, and in the coming few days, Honorable Madam Speaker, we shall be having a motion tabled in the House, a very detailed motion that should actually make us depart from the tradition of being favored or following the number of stairs, as I heard the Speaker of the budget says that you have to follow the stairs many times in the so-called some prestigious buildings here. We won't have a uniform building. That is a positively on process. Secondly, coming also from the background of the Education Committee, we are also on process of finding the factual facts relating to the so-called feeding program, and I say that in quotes, because whoever is being fed is yet to be known properly. So we are also taking to task the department, the CC, the CEM relating to this particular thing so that we get the final details on this. I would like to assure the honorable members here in the House that the matter is also being attended to as concerns the sentiments raised in the report as well. Finally, I think it is important that we get the volume, the big volume or the big chunk of the finances being flowed in to the so-called JORTH, so that we get the resources that should actually be pumped in by the national government. I want to believe that this, if we captured well properly and resource to the relevant country resources, we shall be able to benefit big style. Let the national government take the responsibility. The hospital, the facility is serving beyond, far much beyond what is called Kisumu County. And the benefits of the Kisumu County remain for the owners. Many thanks. Many thanks once more, and I support the adoption of the report once again.
Yes, Honorable Eunice Orlando.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also want to rise to support this motion presented by the able chair of the budget. I also want to register my reservations that when I came in the House, I was very much down as the chair of agriculture, since the allocation that was given the department, it is just a peanut. And I'm at least not very much happy, but some light is maybe showing at the tunnel, that the committee also made the recommendation that the CEM need to consider the Department of Agriculture, given that the allocation that was given, considering the new staffs even that were engaged that were employed recently in the Department of Agriculture, and the allocation that was given even for operation, you would wonder it was just a peanut. And I want to encourage the committee that you go by your recommendation and pin down the CM to look into that, because if we go by the declaration, the Maputo and hello? So, the Maputo declaration that was instructing all the departments of agriculture or all the institutions to consider agriculture by giving them 10% of their total allocation. Our county is still lagging behind. And even if you walk outside here, most of our farmers are really complaining that there is no support that they're receiving from the county. Our county cannot even empower our farmers by giving them the farm inputs. When it reaches a time of planting, they are asking for the fertilizers, the seeds, because they compare themselves with other counties, neighboring counties. The neighboring counties are giving out fertilizers, they are giving out seeds. Ours, we are just seeing them. If a member from that, the representative from that ward has not allocated anything in his budget, then the county has nothing to give out because of the low funding that is being allocated to the Department of Agriculture every now and again. And I want to say that going forward, because they've realized of the Maputo declaration, they are going to do something so that the percentage will be increased from the 3% to, even if you don't give the total of 10, 6 or 7 is not bad. And again, the issue of wage bill, I don't know what the county is maybe want to do about it, because we keep on employing more staffs. If you walk to some of these offices, you will just find some of the staffs are just reading newspapers. Some are just loitering around, and by the end of the month, they'll receive their pay. And the wage bill keeps on increasing every now and again. I'm sure even if you go into details, which I want to request our chair of budget, that we need to know all the staffs of this county and whatever they are doing. Because we might be maybe making a lot of noise with this wage bill, and yet we have some of the ghost workers who are eating our money every now and again. With those few remarks, I support the
yes, Honorable Dede.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Being that my colleagues have exhausted most of the things I wanted to say, but I have to be on record that I also talked over the issue on the floor today. To begin with, there is this issue of pending bills. We find that the issue of pending bills arising each and every moment from the 2 billion to currently 5 billion. there should be a strategy whereby the pending bill should be categorized and know that at this particular point, we have this pending bill from such and such a department. And concerning the on-source revenue, it's so worrying that in the financial year 2023-2024, first quarter, we see that the collection has been 233 million and some thousands. In quarter two, it's 192 million. Being that we wanted to enhance the revenue, the on-source revenue, recently there was a board constituted, the revenue board, and it seems that the revenue board doesn't add value to the on-source revenue, being that whatever they produce compared to the other years, you find that in the past years, like the 2022-2023, before the constitution of the revenue board, in the first quarter of the financial year, there was a collection of 86 million. In quarter two, there was 233 million. If we compare the quarter two of the 2023 and 2024, we see that there's a decrease from 233 to 192. So it means even if we had something from the on-source revenue, those who are employed in the revenue board consumes the surplus. So it means that it's just the way it was, being that it has increased with some little, but they consume major part of that money. So I think we should work on the issue of the revenue board to know whatever they bring on board compared to the way it was before. The issue of prioritizing of the undone project. What causes the undone projects? If, for instance, in the infrastructure and roads department, we find that as we budget for our projects, we find that members just estimate that this road from this point to the other point, they allocate 2 million. It seems that we just work on estimates, and I urge the teams so that as they'll be going for the budget making process, before one prioritize for the road, the engineer should be on the ground to know whatever will be done on a particular road, so that that leads to undone projects. I find that most of the members now tend to leave the project because if I estimate a road from point A to point B, it's going to cost, I approximate 2 million. And if the engineers come and work on it, whatever is going to be done on it will exceed that. So that make the contractors not to go to our projects, leads to undone projects to roll over for a long time. Concerning the debt portfolio, it was a recommendation that each and every department to handle debt at the department. That will also assist us, whereby you see per department, if it is in the Department of Roads, we'll see that roads are such a pending bid, so that they'll be at least be handled. Concerning the increment in the pending bill of the legal fee, seeing that we've got members employed in that, the legal members are being, we've employed the legal team, yet the pending bill still accrues to over 300 million. What work do they do in the department? If you still have such a pending bill, we have the members employed in that team, so at least that should be looked on. In the agriculture department, we found that 115 extension officers were recruited, and they needed more additional fund to cater for the salaries of the 115 employees. Before the 115 were brought on board, we found that there were others who are working, they've gone for the retirement. So can they stipulate clearly the 115, they needed the additional for their salaries and the remunerations. 115
compared to the retired, all those who are out of the service now. It's because there should be a replacement. The proceedings should be, those one who are earning, we've added 115. How many have retired? We've recruited 115. They were now substituting the one who was retired. And by the time they were retiring, they were also earning at different job groups. So we need to know before they are added, we get some additional for the 115. At what age, at which group, job group were they employed? Because the other one who retired, they were retired at a certain level of job group. So there might be a variation there. So we have to verify the 115, whatever they are going to consume, what those who are consuming, if they are claiming that they are their salaries are not captured in this, in the other one. In the Department of Roads and Infrastructure, they need to add some 14 floodlights countywide. My worry with the 14 floodlights they in need of, if the current one, most of them are not functional countywide. If you go to most of the marketplaces, they are non-functional and still need to add more, yet we can't maintain this one we are having. My proposal was they should see at least employ even a person to at least monitor the floodlights within the regions. Concerning the still on roads, we see that they needed 900 million on O&M. If we need 900 million, surely, and the roads are, the machine-based is failing us. My option is we should go for the hybrid system because they are telling us that there is surely delays in release of the funds for fuel to attend the machine, for the, which affects the machine base. Why is it that you need, instead of going for, in terms of delays in the release of funds for fuel, why can't we go for hybrid system whereby those money can be contracted to, so that those who need to go for the machine base, let them go for machine base, but we move to hybrid system whereby majority of us, if money allocated on that, we budget for we contract the roads, then being left for the contractors if money well allocated. Under sports and culture, Madam Speaker, we find that we tend to allocate much money in the stadiums where you get that even the ones allocated were reallocated again. The 100 million which was allocated to the Moi Stadium was then reverted to the governor's residence. So we want to know that even if we allocate something in the sports and culture, what value do they add? Because we have the stadium like the Moroni Stadium, the Moi Stadium. What do they bring back on us? Of course, most of them, we don't know even the structure, whatever they bring back, and we put a lot of money in the stadiums. And concerning the Public Service Board, recently we talked of the Public Service Board. They needed someone even coming to them, they don't even honor the invite from the assembly, from the report we received. They don't. So how are we going to add them some money to assist them in their daily activities if they don't honor the invite to the assembly so that they explain themselves the problem they partake? So that one is also considered. Under the conditional grants, Madam Speaker, conditional grants come with their MOU. We need that as the conditional grants comes, they should be brought with the MOU, because if a grant comes, they will so reallocate money for the conditional grants. And pertaining the Jaramogi Oginga Odinga Hospital, it's prudent that if Jaramogi Oginga Odinga is taken to the national government, so most of the facilities, most of the employees shall come to our minor facilities like the sub-county hospitals, the dispensaries we are having, because we operate most of the dispensaries yet we don't have drugs in them, we don't have enough staffing. Because most of the services are being taken to Jaramogi Oginga Odinga referral. If brought back to this Jaramogi Oginga Odinga is taken back to national, so most of the staffs shall be spread within this our dispensaries, all the dispensary and the sub-county hospitals. And concerning the issue on water, I found that the ceilings being appropriated in the Department of Water is very much low. And we need to have, there are donors who are willing to support the department with some donation. What they need mostly is to at least the assembly to increase them funds, because the percentage the assembly allocates for them, they do the matching. If you give 50 million, they provide the same. So at least in this the budget, we request for the additional of some allocations in the Department of Water, so that when the matching funds are being appropriated, so we get much from the donors. And finally, concerning the wage bill. The wage bill has been a thorn in flesh. We see that majority of the employees are just loitering. While we were talking of the public service board, which didn't go through, we find that in a department like the county's secretary department, we find that there is one called Jonah Uma earning salary as the county secretary. And we also have the current county secretary acting in an acting capacity also earns. You see that there is duplication of work. If realigned well, you see that one person attends to a duty, will at least assist in the issue of wage bill, being that it consumes about 50%, and if all the records taken well, should be considered that each and every department aligned and see that such a person works in the same department, so that we get our staffs knowingly that in a department we have such staff, in a department we have such staff, which will in turn assist us in getting them. Otherwise, I support. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Kennedy Ajwang.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Going by the mood of this House, Madam Speaker, I call upon the mover to reply.
Yes, Honorable Joachim Okech.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Honorable Kennedy is on point and is very keen. And basically, Madam Speaker, my brother, Honorable Dede, just raised issues that have been raised earlier. And he's gone department by department. And I agree with him. The only hope I can give him is that whatever we're reading here, this is a policy document that only gives the ceiling. So we are going to have a chance when we have the estimates to be able to comprehensively discuss the budget. But of course, he has raised the issue, which is very pertinent, the issue of water and environment, where they believe that they have partners who are able to match a particular fund. We've gotten the issue, and I think we are going to discuss it at the sectoral level. I do agree with him, the issue he has raised of wage bill and all those things. I don't want to go into details, the issue of the county secretary and all that. But because we need to work on the wage bill, just like even Honorable Eunice Alando was calling detailed list of staff and wage bill, that is why we do these reports. Some of us, of our members, we do the reports, but they still think that it is the duty and responsibility of the budget committee. Ours is to do analysis of the document that we have, CFSP. But now on these detailed reports of staff and all that, I think now the Committee of Labor, if I'm not wrong, through the guidance of the Speaker, I think we are able to get all those documents. Our purpose is to give the analysis, give the information, and the relevant sectoral committees can now do what we call the remaining oversight, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, even Honorable Komudo was on the same War Development Fund. We feel that the issue of negotiating is outdated, and we should have a guiding law which is able to guide on how much the ward gets. On feeding program, I also do agree with him. He asked, whom are we feeding? Because we are not ideally feeding our children in school. And therefore, we also ask the Committee of Education to come with this report, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, Honorable Benipet also did raise a lot of issues. Of course, I agree with him that those who want the hard copies should normally make a special request, because we went digital, but for those who remain analog, normally make special requests and the copies are given. He also highlighted a lot of issues that sometimes the documents we provide, you might find that the on-source revenue figure in our CBROP and CFSP differ with what was given by the controller of budget. That has always happened. Sometimes when we ask the CEC Finance, he says that sometimes they capture figures and leave out some, and that is why sometimes we have a disparity of figures. He also talked of the wage bill, which I've mentioned, and talking of the appointments. Sometimes they wonder because the technical staff are not there, so are this staff political that are ballooning the wage bill? I also do agree with him that the issue of late payment and pending bills has killed the LSO financing model, and that has discouraged a lot of our suppliers, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I also agree with the Deputy Majority Leader that the wage bill, the allocation should be based on capacity to absorb, which is very true. And again, of course, capacity building on our members of the public with regards to public participation. Of course, more training should be done, and that alone the county cannot do. Of course, with the partners and CSO networks, we shall be able to do that. I also agree with my brother, Honorable Nyauke, on the issue of pending bill. Somebody should be taken to task. I think somebody should take individual responsibility. And that is why, as a committee, we are taking this matter very seriously. And we are going to see a lot of heads rolling so that we finalize on this issue, so that we know who are these people. Are they ghost pending bill? Are they real pending bill? Something needs to be done. And that we are going to liaise with the Committee of Finance to do the same. Otherwise, I want to thank all the members who have contributed. I want to thank the leadership of the Assembly through the Speaker and the Office of the Clerk and all the committee members for Budget and Appropriation. I also just want to prepare them that the estimates are coming, and therefore we still call on the indulgence to continue working together so that we are able to provide good reports to this House. Otherwise, Madam Speaker, I beg to move and request the members to adopt this report. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, and now that the report by the County Budget and Appropriation Committee on the report on consideration of the Kisumu County Fiscal Strategy Paper for financial year 2024-2025 and the medium term has been presented, seconded and debated, and now it's time for me to propose a question. And I propose that as many as of the opinion that the report by the County Budget and Appropriation Committee on the report on consideration of the Kisumu County Fiscal Strategy Paper for the financial year 2024-2025 and the medium term be adopted, say aye. And as many as the opinion of the contrary opinion say nay. And the ayes have it. And the report by the County Budget and Appropriation Committee on the report on consideration of the Kisumu County Fiscal Strategy Paper for the financial year 2025 and the medium term has been adopted today, Tuesday, the 30th of April, 2024 at 17:03 hours. And I direct that the report, together with the answered report, be submitted to the relevant department for purposes of implementation. Thank you. Next order, clerk.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and honorable members. There is no any other business for transaction.
Honorable members, there being no any other business for consideration, this House stands adjourned until Thursday, the 2nd of May, 2024 at 2:30 p.m.